Oh, come in. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Go ahead, give yourself a seat. You're all comfortable? Great, well, we can get started right now. So, you were telling me since our last visit you've been having some problems. You said here on your document, CGI, awful pacing, and horrendous sound design? I've never seen symptoms like this before. Wait a second. I think you might have militancy.
As an anime fan, have you ever asked yourself, why? Why am I watching this? Then congratulations, you just watched Berserk 2016. Now I'm sure that many of you clicking on this video are already aware of the absolute dumpster fire that was CG guy with a sword with only one sound effect. If not, let's get this out of the way. You can skip to this timestamp if you already know about this. Berserk is a massively popular manga that was written and drawn by Kentaro Miura. The series followed a mercenary by the name of Guts in his journey through betrayal, hardship, and excruciating pain as he fights demons both literally and figuratively in a bleak fantasy world. At first it sounds very dark and edgy and, well, that's because it is! Each page of this manga was filled with grimacing and graphic content but was beautifully drawn and loved by those who read it. So what if we just it all up? Introducing Berserk the Anime 2016 Supreme Gucci Collector Dream Drip Edition, where we at Studio Militancy took everything you loved about arguably the most influential piece of fiction of all time and used it as a breeding ground for horrible industry practices.
Oh, this is gonna go great!
Okay, so now we should all be caught up. Studio Militancy is one of the strangest animation studios in the world. It was originally founded by Naoko Shiraishi in 2013 with her husband Shin Itagaki, spearheading the directing role of almost every production to date. Now, remember that name, Shin Itagaki, because it's going to be coming up a lot during this video. Before the production of Berserk 2016, what was Studio Militancy known for?
Okay, just put this document in here. EMG signal. No, there's nothing in the book for it!
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, the studio had only worked on one solo project before getting their hands on Kentaro Miura's brainchild. You wanna know what that work was? TQ! That's right, a studio whose only solo project was a series of 2-minute one-off episodes about girls playing tennis was going to adapt one of the most prolific and legendary manga of all time. And it went horribly.
Who would have thought?
The reason why Berserk was a massive failure as an adaptation was not only because of Militancy's terrible management and allocation of their resources, but also because they were coordinating with a startup 3D CG studio named Gemba. Shin Itagaki, the director at Studio Militancy, was dead set on establishing a unique visual style, blending 2D and 3D together. So while Militancy created the 2D scenes for Berserk, Gemba would create 3D scenes and share them with the 2D animation team so they could edit everything together. That sounds great on paper. But you know what doesn't sound great on paper? The same grating, banging metal sound effect the audio engineer reused every time Guts swung his sword. This one sound effect basically represents everything wrong with the show. Not even the editing team was competent enough to realize this show was a bad idea. So yeah, Berserk was just a disaster. Everybody knows the story, and if not, now you do. Now this is where the video truly begins.
Oh, I'm still listening!
Really get a good grip on this one. This one's big.
In recent years, Studio Militancy has adapted a handful of popular light novel series. Typically, light novel adaptations are much more difficult because certain scenes aren't already drawn out like they are in manga. Sure, some light novels will contain occasional pictures that help the reader envision the world they are reading, but it's not really a great guide, especially since the art is very distinct from your traditional anime aesthetic. The point I'm trying to make here is Studio Militancy has a niche, and if we look further into what the light novels they adapt are about, we can get a general vibe of the studio. First off, with Copcraft. Copcraft is a duo cop show about Detective Kei Matoba teaming up with an alien.
I'm sorry, what?
The show follows their investigation, trying to uncover the mystery behind live fairy trafficking, of which are used as catalysts for drugs.
I'm sorry, what?
The story tends to focus on the theme of societal racism, with even the main character, Matoba-san, being incredibly cautious with the outsiders from Earth, better known as Samanians.
Don't call me an alien anymore. It's racist, you know.
Now I bet we're asking, was the adaptation good? It's okay. Its quality was all over the place. Some scenes would be animated with still characters, where they almost seem like they don't fit in the shot. Some of the directorial decisions, like music, are absolutely horrible. And we are already starting to see that CG blend that Shin Itagaki is so insistent about. But sometimes it's really freaking awesome. The highlights of the show are the buddy cop dynamic between the two protagonists, while learning about each other's unique past from different worlds. This is where I think Studio Milipency is at their strongest. When provided with two different worlds or perspectives, they keep their audience's attention with an interesting cast of characters. And this brings us to So I'm a Spider, So What? I initially watched this show during the 2021 hype train, and it had a somewhat positive yet mixed reception. So I'm a Spider follows a group of students and teacher reincarnated in another world, with each of them varying in their type of reincarnation. Some born as elves, some born as slaves, some born as heroes or traps, and for Kumiko, a spider. The story mostly follows Kumiko trying to get stronger by taking advantage of the world's RPG system, where learning new skills can help her traverse the labyrinth and fight even stronger foes. It occasionally jumps from the human students back to Kumiko so we can get two different sides of the same world. You can say what you want about the strange mix of CG and 2D animation, but I think this show accurately represents Shin Itagaki's motive for mixing the styles.
No, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
You get the nice and pleasant 2D animation for all the students who reincarnated as humans as they unravel the deeper conspiracy behind the kingdom, and Kumiko gets some gritty polygon action where the camera dynamically pans to give battles a larger sense of scale. What's strange about this is so many of the people watching the show preferred the scenes with Kumiko in them. Why is this?
This doesn't make any sense!
Well, it can be attributed to the highly detailed and elaborate leveling system in use, but the personality of Kumiko is what makes me stay. The voice actor, Aoi Yuki, gives an amazing performance as the energetic and lovable spider. Honestly, this entire show is a mystery to me, and I don't know if I love it or hate it, but without a doubt, it's beyond charming. And this is the part where you think I continue praising the studio? Wrong! Studio Milipency, like with Berserk 2016, was coordinating with a CG studio by the name of Exa. Now, Exa is actually a reputable 3D studio as opposed to Gemba. Nowadays, they worked on the movie Suzume, the Haikyuu series, and even Attack on Titan, the final season part 2. Oh my god, why can't Mappa just finish the show? Apparently, Exa and Milipency were having terrible communication issues, especially working on the finale, which is not good for a show with already 22 episodes. Warning. Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. You have been warned.
This is it, Shun. 22 episodes of build-up and Milipency has outsourced our episode and abandoned us. Watch as the sky deteriorates around me to save precious pennies.
Holy shit, that looks bad!
I divorced my wife and abandoned my kids to prepare
You're
for
a
this
terrible
day,
father.
Shun. I can't take this anymore, Shun. I'm taking the studio down with me. What? They ruined my life, Shun.
Your life already sucked.
Nuh-uh.
Yaha?
Nuh-uh.
Yaha?
Hey, fuck you, Shun.
No, you!
Big fast Normie!
Yeah!
Nani?
Too slow!
Curse my clammy hand.
Budget saving knee attack!
Right in the studio shaft.
Man, that was really close. We're almost running on budget. Studio Milipency slipped up with the finale of So I'm a Spider, and it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. So obviously, they decided to adapt another light novel with a similar premise.
Wow, hopefully this won't go wrong too.
Okay, this show's amazing. The most recent adaptation by Studio Milipency is I got a cheat skill in another world and became unrivaled, And the real world too. I thought this was an anime adaptation. You just tricked me into reading a light novel. I got a cheat. I Became a Cheater is about a big boy named Yuya who discovers a gate to another world in his archaeologist grandfather's collection of relics. Stepping out of the door, he's welcomed to an abandoned home in the middle of nowhere, where some of the strongest monsters reside. He takes advantage of the spiderwick circle around his home to cheese farm XP mobs like I did back when I was playing old school RuneScape. However, the main appeal of the show isn't his feats in the fantasy world, but rather those of the real one, which is a massively more interesting premise than any other isekai I've seen. And for those of you who don't know what isekai is, don't look it up. It's a bit of a dirty word. We actually get to see all of the changes in Yuya and how they affect him in the world he comes from, in some pretty entertaining ways. At one point, he just jumps out of a 3-story building and fights a guy on a motorbike with his bare hands. There's also a time where he hits a ping pong ball so hard it burns a hole into the table. It's bonkers how everything just happens.
What kind of photos are these? I mean, really?
We're disgusting.
However, it also has tame moments, where we see him being timid as he tries to come to terms with his new body. In one side plot, he's asked to fill in for a model in a mall shoot and ends up learning a lot of things he thought he could never experience. It was unnatural and uncomfortable for him, but it was good seeing the character still struggle with more humane situations. The show is incredibly goofy and out there, especially with the love affair in between the real and isekai world.
What would you say to marrying me?
Whew, is it getting hot in here, or is it just me?
But the way Studio Milipancy adapted the show gives it a lot of personality. The show's art quality is well polished, the characters' facial expressions feel authentic, and the pacing of the show is pretty good. It almost feels like Itagaki-san learned something. Itagaki-san, please put that away. I was just complimenting you. This is the state of Studio Milipancy. But before ending the video, I want to make a hot take. I think Studio Milipancy could take on animating Berserk again.
What? Are you insane? They already did that once, why would you let them do it again?
I didn't actually mean that, I just said that so I could have a controversial statement at the end of the video. Although, it would be very hilarious if they did.
Isn't that right, Itagaki-san? I know you're watching this, and I know you're gonna make another CG anime, and you're just gonna think it's gonna be fine and dandy, but really, it's not your mental health that's at stake, it's mine. It's always been mine.
And that's the video. That's what I got.
Okay. After a completely logical assessment, I have determined you have high-functioning milipancy.
What you doing, buddy?